Did you?
I was gonna just ask if you need anything further for the CIO meeting tomorrow.
Not that I know of, other than
Ryan, just so you know, you do have a quorum. We're just missing Nightingale, Petcher, and Whitman.
Hi, this is Keith. I'm calling in. I'm going to have to be driving, so I won't probably be able to speak, but I will be listening. Thanks.
I don't have, it's 2 o'clock. I shut my mouth, I'm stuck,
Okay, let's get the meeting to order here. Government operations for, we're good. Lisa, we're starting the meeting, sorry. Government operations is starting May 13th. Calling to order. I do have Heidi Nightingale, who is excused. I also have heard from Tucker, who has to be excused. But we have the rest of the members here tonight. Thank you. For that, minutes to approve from April, I'll take a motion. Moved by Mr. Petrus, seconded by
Hey, Strong.
Mr. Strong. Any discussion on those? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. We do not have any appointments. Before we get into the presentation for the CIO IT director, I do want to give the committee just a quick update that GO5 has the potential for an executive session. We'll get to it more. We may not need it, but I want to let everyone know that that could possibly be happening. So other than that, we'll move right into the presentation by our chairwoman.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give an update to the CIO IT director search. Lisa Lippold is also in the room, so she and I will toggle back and forth for this quick presentation. I just want to start out with some history of the department. As you know, we're in the middle of the search for the IT director / CIO. So I wanted to go over the history here and a few other things and let you know where we stand today. So you may remember Steve was hired as the coordinator for IT, was at the top position at the time from 97 to 2010. And I have listed his salary below. So this just kind of gives you what we've done so far. From 2010 to 2014, the IT department was run under a third-party contracted group. In 2014, the original version of a CIO position was classified by the Civil Service Commission. Steve Tobin was hired as the CIO at that time in 2015 at the salary listed in this presentation, and then resigned on 2019 at the salary of $82,947. The contract group is currently in place for IT. And with the exception of 2 frontline staff members that are county employees, the rest are contracted. And then the director for IT, who is an employee with the contracted group, is listed there, and we have him on an hourly basis. And that hourly pay is $125 an hour. So that gives you a little bit of history, just going from 97 to present day. Any questions that comes up for anybody listening to this? Just Ryan will flag you, I guess, if you raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide. So the process, so we passed a resolution February 21st in government ops about the chief information officer, because of course we talked about what is it that we want as a county, and the idea was to go out and search for a county CIO, rather than the contracted director. So that's what we did in February. Okay, and here's the job description. So the The job description has been circulated, and I just wanted to remind you that it is out there. If you need copies or you need to refresh your memories on the job description, we certainly can get that out to you. I have it, Ryan has it, Lisa has it. And it is right here, although the print's smaller, but you could load that up. So we also had this classified again, civil service. So it's the Chief Information Officer job description. And I won't go through that, but certainly if you have questions. Okay, so we advertised for this particular position starting February 24th, the day after the resolution went through. We advertised on Indeed from 2/24 to 3/12. We received 46 applications. We advertised on eGov from 2/24 to 3/31. We received 25 candidates there. 20 out of the 25 had previously applied, have been directed to the website to be reviewed by the Commissioners of Civil Service. Of the 25 candidates reviewed by the commission, 3 were disapproved and 22 were approved. After approval by the commission, the start of search committee work group began. Human Resources narrowed the group to those who had indicated they were willing to move without a relocation package, lived in New York State, and met all the criteria. The search group decided on the key factors of the job description that each candidate would be rated by to determine the highest candidates overall. So we are implementing a rating system on the following factors: education, IT technical experience, supervisory experience, administrative/organizational experience, project management, strategic planning and analysis, and lastly, any governmental experience or interaction. Top candidates whom HR will be contacted by phone to determine if they are still interested in the position, and other key questions determined by the search group prior to setting up the interviews with the search committee. So of course, this has been a lengthy process. We want to make sure the people who did apply online are still available and interested in coming to Cayuga County before we call them to schedule an interview. The members of the search committee are Mark Strong, myself, Chris Palermo, our county attorney, Trish Kerr, Jody Nickerson, who is an IT county employee, right? She mostly serves one singular department, Ryan Foley, and Lisa Lippold. Okay, so that has been the process up to date, and then we'll take you to the timeline, which I mentioned before. February 23rd was the resolution for the ad to be placed. The ad was placed, and we received a lot of applicants. Applications were reviewed by the Civil Service Commission for approval, and then we narrowed the pool. April 8th, the steering committee meeting, we decided to narrow to New York State only candidates. There was consideration about a relocation package expectation that we know that would be difficult to meet when we're talking about salaries and fringes. We thought we would start with that group. We determined key factors to measure in a system provided by HR and started draft questions for interviews. So we have adopted a point system to go through to help us narrow the candidates. And then the steering committee met to go over criteria, factors of the point system, and reviewed the questions to be asked. Lisa, do you have anything to add at this point?
We went through extensively dealing with the scoring system to make sure that everybody understood exactly what we were looking for in each of the candidates.
Okay. That brings us up to May. We gave the HR administrator point sheets to score candidates and approve those candidates by committee to start calling the top candidates and to gauge their interest. And then this past week, candidates have been contacted, and then we have another steering committee tomorrow morning to talk about actual questions for the interview. And then we will have some feedback that you've received from these candidates. So at this point, I think I just wanted to review the facts of that have been accomplished. It's been a lot of time, and I thank Ryan Foley for chairing this committee. We've taken a deep dive into what our needs are. We've developed a great job description. We've included county employees on the search committee. And and have gone through this process. I want to talk to you lastly about the salary. And I'm going to turn it over to Lisa to talk about the salary range and how we came up with that.
So the salary range was based on the market information that we have from NISAC to be able to determine a range based on average, as well as after talking to over 25 of the candidates prior as to what even resembled a equitable salary in way of what their expectations were and what we considered outliers for some of them that were between like 150 to 180. But when we looked at the average, it was more of like an 85 to 120. And then looking even closer at those that are counties that are closer to us, being able to narrow that to a 90 to 105 range. For a good candidate, there would also be within range of what many counties have for their IT director with some similar scopes. We are very unique in the fact that our IT department covers the whole entire county. Some of them only cover certain areas of the county, being say 911, the sheriffs, and maybe DSS, and not the entire group. Some of them have bigger staff than the 5 that we have, 2 of them being county employees, 3 that are not county employees. So taking all those factors into consideration, that's how we came up with this salary range of a $15,000 hiring range.
Just to reiterate your point about other counties, if you were to query other counties, you'll see a wide range, and it is because they have perhaps 3 directors overseeing their entire county versus like we have the 1. So that was in first very alarming. And because the range was there was quite a spread. And then when we dug deeper, we were able to see that it was that. Okay, so I guess this is the update for now, and we'll know more tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page and that everyone knows the roles that we've all played, sort of getting to this point. Mr. Foley, do you have anything to add to this at all?
Yeah. Yes, but I want to make sure if anyone has any questions.
Sure.
I get my outfit for you, so that you have more to add to this. Okay, so there's no hand raised. All right, so thank you for that. I think it's important to understand what we've done so far, where we are headed, and to solicit questions during the process. I think it's another question, which is why I asked the committee to put this together, is to get legislative input. There's a lot of work that has already been done. There's a lot of work that is going to have to be done going forward. If the legislature has any qualms, hesitation, or anything else with the concept of us creating a director position for IT, they have to speak up now. I don't know what to tell you other than this thing's moving forward. We're going to start interviewing candidates. We're going to bring them forward once we've narrowed those down to be interviewed by the full legislature. Well, we absolutely can't get into a position later down the line where a legislator or multiple or a majority even come forward and say, we like the contract that we have with an outside entity. We don't think we need an IT director position for this county. That would be unacceptable. And I want to just make sure that we're all on board with this. So if there are questions, comments, concerns about this process, or about the work that we've done so far, or are going to do, or what the IT department is going to look like after you've already read the job description, please let me know sooner rather than later. right now if you want to. That's part of the reason why we're doing this. But, you know, it's just, I want to have everything out in the open. There's absolutely nothing to hide here, other than, you know, we need to have our privacy concerns for our candidates, and their rights too. So, does anyone have any questions about that? And I can't always see everyone that's on the Zoom, so just unmute yourself and we'll go from there.
Hi, and this is Trish. Just a quick comment too. I just wanted to point out, back when we were talking about creating this position, we were looking at also the rising cost to the county of IT over the years through a fully outsourced relationship, and the potential cost savings that we could achieve by bringing an in-house position, an in-house director to oversee those third-party vendor contracts and to kind of provide countywide internal support to departments. So I do know that we looked at the numbers on that, and that the thought was that there would be opportunity there for cost savings to the county by bringing some of this work in-house.
Okay. Thanks, Trish. Any other questions before we move on? All right, thank you again for Lisa and Aileen for putting that presentation together. We'll certainly give periodic updates as we continue to move forward. I think we're going to try to have this be brought to the legislature's attention in June, and so we can continue to move forward and get someone on board and go from there. So with that said, we'll continue to move on. Next up is the committee reports. That is for the Board of Elections is first up. Now I have heard from both Cheryl and Kate that they are unavailable for tonight with different commitments. And so I have Roberta that's on, and she is going to answer questions about the report, and they also have 2 resolutions that she can present. We'll go from there. So Roberta, take it away.
Okay, you know, the Board of Elections is as busy as always, doing voter registrations. We are working on the school board elections. We created their ballot. They are utilizing our machines, and we will be delivering the machines on Monday. The election is Tuesday. We are also processing the ballots for the primary in June. The absentee ballots for the military and the regular had to go out by last Friday. So that was done. So now we are moving on to the other necessary things for the election. We do have 2 resolutions for grants that we received in 2008. And we have to, the State Board of Elections sends the contracts every year to recertify. So the original number in 2008 was $225,000 for the shoebox, and we purchased our voting machines back then. Our current balance is $103,104. We have purchased other things over the years. Each of these machines that we purchased were about $12,000 each back then. The new ones will be probably about the same in the future. The other is a poll worker grant that allows us to purchase things to help with poll worker education. And we've utilized that from time to time. At any time, these grants can go away. So Cheryl and Kate are trying to figure out ways to utilize them in the near future.
Start out with any questions about the Board of Elections report.
I just had one, Ryan. Hey, Roberta, this is Trish Kerr. Is it okay to ask this?
Yes.
What did you say the balance was for the second grant, for the education grant?
So the education, we still have $12,631 left.
And do they expire at the end of 2022, or will they just keep rolling forward?
They have been rolling every year since 2008.
Okay,
So-
thanks.
Any other questions for Roberta? If not, I'll take a motion for GO1 and GO2.
Move them as a bundle.
Mr. Peters moves GO1 and GO2 as a bundle. I'll take a second.
Second,
Oh.
Kerr.
Second by Ms. Kerr. Okay. Any conversation? All right. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay. Roberta, thank you so much for filling in.
All right, thank you.
All right. Next up is going to be Sheila and Amanda by extension.
So Sheila has submitted her report. If there's any questions, just let me know.
Any questions for the clerk's office? I do have one is, the wiring, the microphones have been taken out of chambers. That looks, I think, much better than what it was. There's a plan per your report that you wanted to maybe extend wireless options. What does that look like for us or funding the legislature, stuff like that? Just so we know, you don't have to have it all, detailed out, but just so we're given a heads up.
Right. We met with somebody. I would say that I would direct that more towards Paul because he is in contact with the person that we just spoke with all together. And we just looked at one vendor as of right now. And there will be different options and different packages depending on what our needs are in the future.
Great. Any other questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Amanda. Mr. Palermo. Batter's up.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. At the present time, nothing to report for our department. Doing the usual work for all the committees, resolutions, contracts, local laws, litigation, juvenile delinquents, FOIL requests, routine work. I would note that Mr. Graham is on vacation, a well-deserved vacation, I might add. It's his first real vacation since he started. I think that's probably going to apply to a lot of people this year with, the past year having been COVID. Everybody's been hunkered down. So he's been out of the office, and it's, we miss him. So that's about it.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Palermo? Chris, I do have one very brief one. I've had a legislator reach out to me saying he's seen like portions of other agendas from other committees that have county attorney reports, county attorney resolutions on their agendas. He's saying, how come they're not at Gov operations? I'm like, I don't know. Like one of them was the shotgun resolution for planning, I think it was.
So what we've done, and this is strictly self-interest, for local laws, I've been labeling them with COA. If it's the 12-year-old hunting pilot program that the DEC is pushing that you're referring to, that requires a local law. The reason for that, Mr. Foley, is that when, internally, we share a network drive with the clerk of the legislature's office, budget, treasurer's office, a number of departments that approve and modify resolutions. It's easier for me to find local laws if they're labeled COA, because there's always two parts. We set the public hearing. That's one resolution. Then there's the adopting resolution. Even though they do apply to various committees, they're certainly not pertinent to my office. My office has nothing to do with hunting, for example, but it does make finding those resolutions and tracking the public hearing dates and the adoptions, possible referendums, as well as filing with the Department of State much easier.
Okay, very well. All right, any other questions for Chris? All right, Chris, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Sue Dwyer, you are up.
I do a complete, detailed monthly report. It's on the website. Public can see it. So it has all of our numbers. Our numbers are nuts, both in DMV and in the Works Recording Office. As you can imagine, the housing craze is going on, and then courts opened up. They continue to have a big calendar, so there's like double or triple the amount of judgments. Everything is magnified at this point, so we're really busy. But what I'd like to bring to your attention is that for the past 7 months, our historian's office has been closed, not being able to operate, not being able to serve the public. There's no end in sight. I keep talking about this. I'm getting really tired of talking about it. And we need to come to some solution so they can operate and serve the public. Nobody has any answers. I'm kind of interested in the numbers of people that have had to go to the front of our historian's office to provide ESS services for them, because I think that they can be served somewhere else. We have to open that up. It's not like our historian's office can go someplace, their collection is there. They've already been moved before. They can only operate out of there. It's just unfair. History's hometown and all that. I think they should be valued just as any other department.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
If I could, I know Sue and we met before you were away on vacation. So I can follow up with those numbers that we talked about getting. And we also just discussed a possible compromise of time that they could be back in their office. I just don't want you to think that we haven't been discussing it at all, Mr. Foley. But certainly we did meet and have discussion. And we're going to try to do what's best for everyone at this point. OTDA is not allowing face-to-face here in the building, but we do need a place where folks can go to have emergent needs settled out. So they have been able to utilize that space, but I do think we can come to a compromise on timeframes, and that's what we agreed to when we met. We said we would talk about that further. So I'll get that number for you, and we can.
Yeah, I mean, I have not heard a thing about it, and it's frustrating to everybody. And the numbers of people, now, that we have a little space in my.
Sure, wait, I'm sorry, Sue, hold on, just for a second. Can I clear something up here? Either there was a conversation that has happened about this with Aileen and Sue, or there was not. So can I clear this up, because Sue's saying that there wasn't, she hasn't heard anything about it.
There wasn't a conversation. I said, I haven't heard anything since. There's been no movement, nothing. Nobody has come to me.
Okay, so
I would be able to, I'd love to sit down with Ray or something, but something's got to be done in it. I don't know of any other department that has been put out of business for 7 months, and I think it's an important issue.
Yeah, I'm not denying that it's not important, but go ahead.
right, and it's something that we'll work to address internally. And just from my own understanding of the situation, the historian's office did make a sacrifice, which was greatly appreciated, and that was because we were having problems with people getting to their services for DSS in the county office building. So, but that space over there is easier as like an overflow for emergencies, and the historian's office is being utilized for that space while COVID is happening, right? So especially during the winter time. We were looking at much more costly options that would have been mandated to have people, instead of waiting outside in front of the county office building in freezing cold, we would have had to have a building erected to house people. So there's, certainly options that have been discussed, explored, and they will continue on. I understand through your concern, it will be addressed.
Yeah, I appreciate your patience. This is another one of those things that I have one person. And this week, I mean, I know you were also away on vacation after we spoke. But, this has been a good week of fires for sure. So, but yeah, my intention is not to leave you hanging. But there is only one of me and I have a lot of responsibilities.
I'm not blaming you, but, it seems to me because we have had to accommodate and change our way of doing things. The PSS can have some appointments, mostly appointments, or something like that. It seems to me that there could be a room where somebody can go. I don't care if it's the second floor, or whatever it is. I've had to move people around and do things in all of my departments. And this is beyond that. It really is.
It's something that will be discussed further. Thank you for that, Sue. Are there any questions for Sue or her report?
I did have a quick question, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, this is Trish. Hi, Sue. My question stems around the machine that for the driver's licenses you guys are pursuing for the PSB. And I was just curious about how many licenses do you guys issue for that population in the county at any given metric, whether it's a year or a month, or is it a high volume?
So it wouldn't be driver's licenses. It's all about getting them IDs while they're in there before they get out. So
Okay.
I wouldn't say numbers are huge. That's not what we're looking for, the quantity. It's more that we're trying to get people who are leaving incarceration a chance, get them IDs. So that's the plan. I don't think it's going to cost the county anything. I can just say that. There is funding for something like that. And, we're working together with the sheriff's office, so we'd be glad to, he's got more details than I do, but that's what's happening.
Okay, I appreciate that. So just giving them some level of official identification so that when they transition out of the facility, they can apply for, say, assistance or use it for employment applications, things like that.
We'll have a valid New York State ID. Yeah.
Okay.
I did ask about the prison system as well, but we're not going to be able to share something like that, but it's a really important issue.
It takes a machine, is that what she's talking about?
It's going to be a system it comes from the DMV.
That will be housed there?
It has to be housed there. Can't take it out. Can't use it as.
So they'll get this piece of equipment that they don't currently have for that purpose? And you'll have to staff there too?
I will have to have a staff there to do that. There isn't that many, but yes.
So you'll coordinate when the need is, and then you'll send a staff there to.
Any other questions? I do have one for Sue. So Sue, can you just give us a very brief mention about the expected presentation that you're having? I wanted to make sure that people heard about it for the full meeting because it's special.
Yes. Maureen Tompkins is Maureen Reynolds is the Tompkins County Clerk. And for the past 11 years ago, she started bringing Tompkins County in the digital age. They had a problem Their record center was going to cost a lot to update. There were problems with it. Of course, our record centers have also been, but, and then, so they said they could either build or renovate a record center or go digital, and they went digital. She's made presentations all over the country. She uses, you know, we've been doing all this work up until now to talk about different companies we could use to do the same here. So we have a project, we're proposing a dreams project. She's gonna come and give the full legislature just, you know, about a 15-minute PowerPoint presentation to describe what it is. We've been talking about it all this time. To give them an idea of what it would look like and how it's helped them, how it saved money, how it does cost money too, but it saved a lot of money. Plus, it's just really easy to use. So I've seen it a couple times and I've gone to see her office and everything. So that's what it is. Thanks, Ryan.
Yes. Yeah, it's actually a really cool concept, and it's something that's, you know, for our county records, right? We need to digitize them at some point. And, you know, there's benefits and pros and cons to doing so, but, you know, it's just like any other content management system. If this particular person can come in and kind of give us a discussion about what they did in their own county. I think that's pretty neat. So thank you for that. And we look forward to seeing her. Okay. Thank you, Sue. So let's move on to, I believe it is Paul Borman, IT.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. Appreciate it. Very brief report this month. Most of our focus has been on legislative support options around these meetings. And as you can see, we've stuck with Zoom for the meetings. I think the video quality has been better, and we've had generally positive feedback about it. So I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on some of those questions that we have under legislative support. Also, active projects that we've been working on as a group include the Board of Elections cybersecurity work that we're doing with New York State. We're aligning with with the NIST CSF, which is the security framework, and in fact worked recently with Dale Currier and his contacts at the CISA, which is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. It's a federal agency, and we are working with them to leverage some of their low-cost or no-cost cybersecurity tools. So again, we're able to offset some of our costs by doing that with those tools. And that includes both surveys as well as scanning tools. We've been working with the 911 Center on their phone system upgrade in Toronto, which is the core system for taking phone calls for 911, so a very critical system. And we also have contracted with Spillman Motorola to upgrade the Spillman system to a new platform that's going to have higher availability and more reliability. We're also working with Black Creek and the folks at the PSB on the jail system upgrade. So that's in process right now. And I've been seeking funding for some of our initiatives, including infrastructure upgrades, using the ARPA funds, the federal ARPA funds, which Cayuga County is slated to receive quite a bit of money from. And so a number of infrastructure upgrades are available within that grant. So we'll have to talk with the folks at the county that are working with those grant dollars. Also been spending a lot of time on life cycle of IT systems. So quickly jumping back to legislative support. So that the obvious things are we're using Zoom and we're sticking with that at this point. We have brought in a contractor to take a look at the legislative chambers to see what we can do to prepare for the future for that room. And that includes fixing the microphone and the sound issues in the room. So they're going to present us with a series of options. We have not received the first quote yet, but once we have that quote, we can then review that, see what we have from a funding perspective. And that quote includes wireless microphones, sound system, and also video cameras that are going to be pointing towards the front of the room and towards the back of the room to ensure that people can be seen. Maybe upgraded lighting and also upgraded sound deadening panels on the walls so that you don't have the echo in the chambers that we have right now, which makes the sound system almost impossible. So those are the recommendations from the testing that they did and the survey they did. And we're waiting for the quotes. And then we'll go from there and decide how we want to buy that. This vendor has done other municipalities, large conference rooms and chambers setups, and they are on government contract as well. So we have we'll follow the legal purchasing process and whatever you want to do from an evaluation perspective to look at that. We also recommend, again, continuing down the path with iPads for the legislators wherever possible, and bringing them in periodically for a refresh, because the devices are not getting updated regularly out in the field at people's homes. So we do need to bring them in, drop them off for a few days, and then we'll return to the legislators. We've also worked with employment and training. Kelly has been very gracious over at employment and training to allow us to offer up to legislators the ability to take some one-on-one training on iPads or their Surface laptops. So we will work with them if people are interested to develop a training course, and then and that gives legislators the opportunity to stop into employment and training and see what they're doing as a program and how they help the community, as well as receive some training one-on-one with one of their folks. Again, that gives you another perspective from one of our IT folks. Maybe that is helpful to have somebody that maybe isn't so technical helping along with the how to use things. So we think that might be a very helpful thing. Beyond that, we're also looking at how do we staff legislative meetings, right? So we've heard from everyone that having IT people at the legislative meetings has been very helpful to help reduce or address technical issues. We respect that and value that feedback. So given that our staff are typically working from 7 o'clock in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, attending legislative meetings at 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night, it can be challenging to our schedule and challenging to the resources. So there's either going to be overtime or extra billing for that work. And I wanted to run it by by government ops at least to see if if it made sense to follow my recommendation, which would be to hire another person and have them work essentially at the 911 center most of the time at the PSP, because the 911 center and the sheriff's office and the jail, all those services at the PSP are 24/7 operations. Well, IT can't really support them 24/7 with a staff of what we have. We have people on call, and over the years, that really hasn't worked all that well. It's not very efficient, and we think we can support those organizations much better, as well as the legislature, by bringing on one more person that maybe starts at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and works until 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And we think we could do that very cost effectively. And so we can pursue options and then work with the budget director to see if that can fit in. And again, we see that as a contract position. And I think that would make a big difference in support for the sheriff's office, the jail, and 911 center. We've already we've moved people around a little bit so that we have more than one person supporting that site. And that's helped tremendously. We've had a lot of positive feedback from all of those directors and those department heads. So that's been going on very well over the last 2 months. Anyway, that's what I've got. If you have any questions.
Thanks, Paul. One of the things that two pieces, but one of the things that we have faced over as a legislature over the past, 3-4 months was issues from various legislators with their iPads, with the quality of the meetings, with not being able to stay connected and really represent their constituents in a manner that was consistent with what our expectation is. From those conversations that we've been working on, you know, like we had to put the owl in here. We had to start with 8x8, which I didn't think was great. We've been trying Zoom. I think it has been better. Having staff on site has been, I think, better overall for the legislature. And we've been exploring other options. With that said, one thing that Paul makes clear is we can do that stuff for the legislature, but it does require additional funding or resources. And so when he's talking about, you know, trying to find solutions like upgrading our mic systems, upgrading lighting system, you know, microphones, whatever the case may be, you know, it's all on how much we're kind of willing to spend and what that looks like. Similarly, when he's talking about staffing levels and how to best support county departments and employees, he's saying, boy, you know, it might make sense to have a full-time person out at the PSB, but that will require additional, you know, resources, and we just don't have them right now. Those are valid points. What I've told him, and what he started to do tonight, is to gather information, gather numbers for us to look at in the form of some type of proposal that we can kind of wrap our heads around, and we'll take a look at it as a committee. So, you know, I mean, this is kind of the beginning process of that, but you know, we can't keep asking for more and more and, you know, expect them to provide all the things that we're asking them to provide without possibly willing to staff or fund those. So, you know, I mean, I've been up here 8 years. I know that the chambers have always been a problem, whether we were in person or over this new, you know, Brady Bunch system. So, you know, it's just something that we're going to have to look at and try to maybe even try to pick and choose. But just bear with us as he's gathering information and numbers, and ultimately we'll come back to committee and look at it. So, are there any questions, comments about Paul's report or otherwise?
I guess I just want to make a comment as well on that, and I appreciate, Paul, your assessment and looking at what the needs of the county is currently, the IT shortfalls. I do think we're in the process of potentially bringing on an in-house director. I do think that they should be involved in assessing need countywide before we start adding additional staff to the department. And beyond the tech support staff you mentioned, that what are the other needs, IT related? I feel like the county has a really big need for communications related to putting information out there to the public about what's happening. We do an okay job with that, but there's nobody in charge of that, and it could be done so much more efficiently, I think, if somebody was overseeing it, and including social media and other ways that people get their information now. I've done a great job with the website, but I appreciate your comments, and you're always looking out for the county needs, and I appreciate your insight. So I look forward to your continued assessment there.
I appreciate that. I definitely agree with you that, you know, the county could really use someone that is a media person that could be the spokesperson for the county, and make sure that all of the communications of the county are coordinated and thoughtful. And that way departments aren't individually responsible for doing that. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have that. It's a tough position to fill because it's a costly position, and you know, you just have to find the right person for it. And you know, you've had people that were very capable of doing that in the county and that work for the county. So potentially reassigning folks or realigning people to that skill. That would be a valuable thing. I think you're right, Trish. Yeah, there are many other things that I put together in my original report when I came into the county back in 2019 to take and said, here's some gaps that we have to fill. So we've been working on filling as many of those as we could within the budget that we have. But there are many more things to do. So again, appreciate all the support over the years. And obviously I'm here to provide any support you need in filling this position permanently, which would be great.
Yeah. Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right. And then last but not least, well, no, actually, Palermo, are you still on? Oh, that was the ethics policy. Chris Petrus has said he will move GO4, and I'll take a second.
Second, this is Kerr.
Any discussion on?
Ryan, I guess I just wanted to recognize the county attorney staff that really helped put this together. Brittany and Rich and Chris, as a committee member, they really helped guide the process and got to this point. So I just wanted to recognize them and say thank you for that.
On behalf of the office, thank you very much, Trish.
Hearing no other questions, I'll take a vote. All in favor of GO4?
Aye.
All right, it carried. Last up is going to be the vet's office. We do have two resolutions. It's GO3, GO5. And I'll have Lindsay, I believe, is on. I'll have her give the report of the office, and then we can work on the resolutions. I'm not going to have her, just to be clear, I'm not going to have her present GO5 because she'll be presenting herself. I think that would be odd. So I'll just have her present GO3, and then I'll move GO5. We'll go from there. So Lindsay, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. Good afternoon, good evening. And so we just have a couple things to touch on in the office. Our veteran service assistant is relocating to Florida. He has given his termination letter effective June 6th. So we've been working with Lisa and she sent us a list to interview a few others that passed. So we don't fall short of another person. And training when they first arrive in the office, it could be anywhere from 12 to 18 months to be have full credentials to do the job. It's just getting certified through the VA and other red tape excuse me, red tape guidelines that we have to follow in order to assist with claims and things to that nature, and based off of social security numbers and the sensitive information given to us. It just takes a lengthy process, but we are in the process of doing that, and in the process actually making a connection. I was on vacation all last week, so coming back, making a connection with reporter Anchor News 9 channel Dan Cummings to interview 3 veterans from World War II who are 95 to 102. So that's exciting to be a part of. As far as anything else goes, it's just business as usual, staying busy and it seems like everyone's woke up and ready to come in the office and find out what their benefits and services are.
Questions about her report? If not, we'll move GO3, take a motion.
I'll move it. This is Kurt.
Moved by Kerr, seconded by Mr. Strong. All righty. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, carried.
Thank you for your support.
So we'll move on to GO5. That is appointing Lindsay Wilkinson as Director of Veteran Services Office or Agency. I will move that as a resolution. I'll take a second. Seconded by Mr. Petrus. Okay. So before we get into any discussion about this, it does lack a salary, so we will have to amend. That was because we were unsure of what salary to put in there when it was drafted, but since then Lisa has gotten one together that I would ask her to just briefly present, and then we can insert it.
So the current job of Director of Veterans Services is a grade 6, which is 53,400. And we can put it in as the grade being the temporary salary as she's working as the temporary director, which would have be a significant increase from the deputy's position on a temporary basis until such time is officially decided upon for that position.
So what was the amount for that then? 53,400, is that the exact amount?
It's 53,400 would be the annual salary, so that it would be done on the weekly basis based on how long she is in that position. You don't put in the annualized salary in there, you just have it as the 53,400 as the point for the annualized piece of that salary, be on a temporary increase. So it was like for 3 months, it would be that salary level for the 3-month time period, based on how long she's in that temporary position. So an additional salary.
Okay. Well, no, Lisa, I need an amount to put in here for that's regarded as what salary we're going to pay her during her temporary tenure. What is that amount? Just so I know.
53,400.
53,400. Okay.
That's the base of the grade 6.
That's a
Right.
grade 6.
Which will be annualized.
Yes, to be annualized, right.
Right.
Chris, I hope you got all that. That's Chris Palermo. That's the motion by Mr. Petrus, and I'll second that. Any discussion on that salary? Okay, hearing none, favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, great. Now, in terms of the resolution as is, we'll take a vote on that. Before we do, I just want to let the legislature know what the next steps are. So we're going to, if we pass this tonight, Lindsay becomes temporary director. At that point, myself, Aileen, and Lisa will get together to form the hiring committee for the actual position of director. We'll advertise the same as we do for any other department head position. We'll review those candidates. We'll maybe select top 3. At that point, we'll try to pick a top 1. It's not as comprehensive as other departments, so I think we can bring forward one as the official director, appointing them. We'll bring it forward to this committee, hopefully by June, and depending on everyone's schedules, and then we'll go from there.
Can I say something if you don't mind? It's Lindsay Wilkinson.
I'm not exactly sure, Lindsay.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So just so you know, Jessica's been out since March of 2020, and without her being there full-time and working with 2 part-time staff and doing her job and my job as well, would that warrant a higher pay level? Because she started out at 55,000 on probationary.
I'm sorry, so we're not going to get into that right this moment. We have a call to question.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, the question has been called. I'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, carried. Any other?
Thank you for your support.
Any other business to come before this committee tonight? I will gladly welcome it. If not, I'll take a motion for adjournment. Yeah.
I just want to clarify, in no way I was attacking Amy. I feel terrible about that. She came to my office. We had a good conversation, but I felt it was appropriate to bring what I said tonight to the entire government of the state. The last thing in the world I want to do is disparage you. I know your job is huge. I don't know how you do it. I give you credit for doing it. So I just want to be very clear about that.
Great. I appreciate that, Sue. Welcome. I think, there's some strong opinions that we all share from time to time, and you're trying to be an advocate for your department, and I welcome that. So, and just before we wrap this up too, in regards to Lindsay's comments, I don't like to go, without saying something about that. There's potential discussions that we'll have in the future about what she had asked, and it's something to kind of discuss moving forward. It's just not appropriate for tonight. Lindsay, I will be in contact certainly with the administrator, and you are interim right now, and we'll go from there. Okay, I don't want to just leave.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Adjourn. By Mr. Strong. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. All right.